Riots on the streets of London have intensified, with violence spreading into more of the city's neighbourhoods, from the north to the east and now into the south. Hundreds of young men clashed with police in the suburb of Hackney, setting cars on fire and looting shops. 10's Europe correspondent Brett Mason has been on the streets of London watching developments, and he joins us now. Brett, we're seeing some frightening images coming through to us, but possibly most telling of all is the fact there's now talk of the army being mobilised to take control of the population in London.
Simply horrifying, Ron. Entire high streets, people's houses, their businesses, all set ablaze by rioting teenagers here in London. This, of course, the third night of violence in the city. The Prime Minister, David Cameron, had initially refused to return from his holiday in Tuscany, but had no choice but to say that he would come home and chair an emergency meeting of Cobra. Now, they have the power to effectively deploy troops on the street. That meeting will take place in the next 12 hours, so we could see troops on the streets removing these teenagers, doing what the police haven't been able to do. These riots have been able to spread not just within one community, that being Tottenham, but further north, further south and further east. So just extraordinary scenes in here, and the police seem to be powerless to stop these bike-riding teenagers, which is just remarkable.
Brett, what we're seeing there are images of London burning less than 12 months out from the Olympics. What can be done to bring order back to this city?
And that's what's so disturbing, particularly from London's reputation perspective. The Olympic site, Stratford, several shops have been targeted there. So that's a very bad image. London has been pumping up its security ahead of the London Olympic Games, and we're seeing school children who are effectively showing that the security that the police have been talking up does not exist. The Metropolitan Police Acting Commissioner, he was pleading for parents to ring their children, find out where they are and bring them home. And it just seemed remarkable that while we're sitting here watching entire streets burn, the best or the biggest strategy from the Metropolitan Police was to ask parents to put their kids to bed. It was just very hard to fathom, and certainly there is a growing mood here that this situation is well and truly beyond the police, and that what London really needs, not in 12 hours time, but right now, is the troops on the street to really put those kids out of harm's way and put those fires out. At the moment, it's simply too dangerous for firefighters to even tackle some of these blazes.
Brett, all of this was sparked by a fatal police shooting at the weekend, but now that it's spreading, analysts are saying that it's a symptom of a much wider social problem.
And that's what we're really seeing, particularly on social media. These protests, and they're not protests, this is now effectively a free-for-all. The protests that we saw when this began 3 nights ago, that no longer exists. This is not rioting for any reason. This is rioting for rioting's sake. This is opportunistic theft. There is a real gap emerging between the haves and have-nots, and I think this is what this protest is now about. It's a chance for people who are a little bit poor, a little bit disconnected, to really flex their muscle. And while it might seem pointless and meaningless, I think from their perspective, this is a chance for them to show a message. But certainly it's a message everyone here is really unhappy about, and it's quite a bizarre and awful feeling being here in London tonight. It's not the London we all thought we knew and loved, Ron.
Brett, thank you very much for your insight. Our Europe correspondent Brett Mason reporting from London.